So good morning and welcome to Soulfood Top Up. A bit of computer errors there. Hopefully this will be coming through loud and clear. So my name's Anthea Fenton from antheafenton.com, and today's conversation is it's an intuitive conversation, so I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I'll literally just switch the camera on. As many of you know, some of you may not know, that I've been doing this for about a year now of just having an authentic conversation that comes from the gut, so it's an intuitive conversation. And today's conversation, thank you for the love. I think is that Law. I'm sure I'm coming through loud and clear. Yay! So this morning's conversation, Law, is about working together. And I know you know part of what's going to be said today. So good morning. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Leanie. Great to see you. Hi, Karen. I just wait. Good morning, Karen. Great to see you again. I'm glad you're able to join. It's always better when you join live. Good morning, Leanie. Hope you're feeling better. Not as tired, more refreshed. That was my hope for you last night. And good morning, Law. Oh, by the way, Law, Leanie says hello. I did say that last night, actually. So today's conversation, thank you so much for sending the love. It always warms my heart when I see the love being activated there, because that's what we're all about, isn't it? It's just that we all do what we do for love. We all do it from love, even if we don't fully connect with ourselves as to why we do what we do. So today's conversation is about togetherness. And I remember talking to a friend from Ireland many years ago, a couple of years ago actually, where we mentioned the word together. And I just saw to get her and thought, wow, what a lovely way to think about togetherness as being to get her. And that to get her is the divine feminine that's within each and every single one of us. And I've always believed that our world has been very masculine dominated, very kind of, just going out there and being quite aggressive in many ways. And that the together is very much a nurturing, not necessarily from a mothering point of view, but just from a divine feminine point of view, that divine feminine which is in each and every single one of us. It's time for that to be risen in each and every single one of us. So over the last 24 hours or so, I've been challenged with a bit of a conversation around this. So I wanted to dedicate some time to it today. So hopefully that will be okay with yourselves as you're listening. Good morning, Law. Bless. I'm glad you're feeling better. Brilliant. So bear with me with this and feel free to make comments, to send me any questions that you might have or anything like that, because this is about you. My intention is to be able to. Good morning, Melissa. Great to see you too. It's been a while. Because these conversations are about the collective. So whatever you're feeling in your heart, hopefully I'll be able to tune into that and make some sense of it throughout this video. Feel free to share a video as well, because this is very much about getting a message out there that maybe a lot of people haven't had these kinds of conversations. So the conversation is about togetherness. Now, when I think about this week has been such a highlight in so many ways. There's been so many energies that's been going on this week. You might have felt unsettled, you might have felt irritated, you might have felt quite annoyed and as though you're slipping backwards into an old way of being. And that's because there's a lot of light energy that's being plummeted into the earth right now. And that's just causing us to revisit places maybe that we haven't been for a while. And it's just getting rid of, it's like having a deep cleanse. That's what's going on. So there's a deep cleansing that's going on. Light being shone into dark is always going to have a ripple effect and make us feel a bit out of sorts. So if that's how you've been feeling this week, if you've been exhausted this week, waking up tired, going to bed tired, then again, it's just a natural symptoms of what's going on with regards to light being flooded into our world that's helping us to bring about a different kind of energy that's never been seen before or felt before on our earth. So that leads me into this togetherness. So when you think about our world, and all of us that are listening to this right now will have been born into a world where it was very dense, where there was a lot of maybe where we weren't able to express ourselves fully in terms of our emotions. You know, people say, "Oh, shut up! You don't be so soft." And I remember going to the doctors with a sore throat, and he said to me, "What did he say to me? You need to toughen up." That's what he said. You need to toughen up, because I was going through a massive amount of stress at work, relating to injustice, and injustice is my biggest passion, is to release injustice, and that's what I'm here to do, is to release the intergenerational curses. So many of us have been cursed with patterns in our lives, and with this, either press the heart or make a comment. There's patterns in your life that have been similar. If you can go back to your parents and your grandparents and even your great-great-grandparents, you might see patterns in your family lineage that don't feel, time to change. You might have felt somebody who felt very different, that you had a knowledge that other people couldn't maybe understand those around you. It might only be now, and you could be in your 50s, 60s, where people are actually starting to talk through words that all of a sudden it's kind of like, actually, that really resonates with me. And that's because you're here to break that curse. You're here to break that intergenerational curse that's been placed on your family. Not through any fault. It's just that actually this is your job. This is what you're here to do. If that resonates, then do let me know that. So there might be in your family patterns of illness. There might be patterns of silence where people don't really genuinely talk about the things that are really concerning them. It might be that silence could be that people aren't really expressing their emotions. These are all signs that, and it could be you're in a pattern of constantly struggling financially, just not, feeling. There could be mental health issues in the family, labels. There could be, so that is all part that has to be broken. And you can choose, you've got a choice whether or not you step up to help heal that. You might be feeling, oh my gosh, that's a bit too much, it's overwhelming. We're here to go there. We're here to go through those steps in order to be able to free our generations, to lineage generations. So this togetherness, thank you for the love, because I've with many people that are on, and I know that it generates with a lot of people. It's whether or not we're prepared to go there within ourselves to be able to understand this message that's being sent. Now, I haven't read any books with regard to this. It's just my time to start to facilitate change in sharing my truth, in the hope that it reaches out to another, that somebody else can resonate with that and think, yeah, actually, that's me. And that if that is a yes, then that means that I've done my job. I've helped to help somebody else to see me in many ways, and for them to see themselves. And the togetherness is about, how do we create a world where we are accepted for who we are, where all these people that have felt abandoned, that have felt that they've been carrying the guilt and the shame of their family, how do we create a world where people can start working together? When you think about all our lives, we've always worked separately, even if we're in a team of people at work. I mean, I used to be part of, my background, social work, and I was part of social work teams where we weren't together. We were labelled social workers, but we weren't really as a team. We didn't have a vision of what we wanted to achieve that year, or how many lives we wanted to impact, or how we wanted to do that. We were working very much in isolation and in separation. And that's how our world has been. So even down to now, we've got spiritualist people, we've got more healers, we've got Reiki masters, we've got different gurus, different people, all these different people that are still working individually. They're still working on their own. There isn't a problem with that, but the challenge is, can you work together? Can you work together? Is that something that you're able to do? Because all I know is that I was given a vision when I was very young, so we're talking 44 years ago, that was about bringing people together to create a bridge of transition, to help people to reset our energies, to reset our hearts, to actually feel, to shift from our head into our hearts, from the ego mind to the ego heart, the heart of compassion and compassionate action. And that was something that I was given. It wasn't all given in a sentence or two like that, but it's been unfolding over 44 years. And now I've got to the stage that I've been at the roots. So if you can imagine a tree, I've been working on the roots and working on the foundations, and helping to kind of bridge this knowledge, to bridge this education, to bridge this remembering. So it's a remembrance. And it's been a real challenge. It's been a challenge. And I've realised it's because I've been digging at the roots for so long that I've forgotten about the flourishing and the blossoming. And that each of us have got our own foundation. So if you can imagine an orchard of trees, and this is how I visualised this orchard of trees, and each of us start off as a seed and then we flourish and blossom regardless of our environment. So some of us might grow a bit more crooked than others, but some of us have navigated our way and we're flourishing and blossoming. But many times when people have challenges in their lives, they're making decisions based on the branches. They're on the branch and they're making a decision instead of going down into the root of themselves, to go down into their selves with, because the answers are within, and then coming back out. So my passion is to be able to support people in going there, in going into that dark, going down within themselves into their roots, and really exploring and strengthening their foundations. Many of us spend our lives outside of ourselves. So just like the tree, we spend our time outside on the bark, on the branches, on the leaves. We very rarely go back into the roots of who we are. And so what we've done is created, or what I've done is created a gentle way for people to be able to just address the roots. And as they're addressing this kind of like network, massive network of roots within ourselves, really firming. So we've got as above, so below. It means that we've really addressed our inner being and our inner wellness. That's the part that needs to be rebalanced. That's the part that is the togetherness. So to get her is about really tapping into our inner self, which for me is the divine feminine that hasn't had much exposure because we've been living in this very masculine energy. And now is a time where we're able to go in to within ourselves, to offer ourselves self-care, to offer ourselves self-love, to really appreciate, thank you for the love, to really appreciate and value who we are. And as we do that, we also begin to see each other. And we begin to see the divine feminine in each and every one of us. And it's powerful because what it means is that when we see each other, all of a sudden, more than ever, it's like amplified, but we also heal. So not only are we here to see each other, but we're also here to be able to heal all that's gone on in our past. So all those times when our grandparents and our great grandparents and our great great grandparents didn't have the opportunity to be gentle, they had to be tough, they had to fight for everything that they are, and just for survival, that were easy. So we're healing all that past, and the quickest way to do that is together. So when we see each other, as I said before, we then free not just ourselves, but we free that energy in our DNA. So as we tap into that DNA, and I don't know if you can see, but the light has shone brighter in this room. But these are all little signs of nature when you're talking about things that are resonating, that are true. Little things like that happens, a big beam of light. And that's exactly what holds that are currently flooding our world. They are able to tap into our DNA. And in our DNA, that gets activated and it releases all that density. So it means that you're then cleaning up the lineage from not just now, but not before, but before, now, and beyond. So you move forward in order to be able to free that kind of energy from your lineage, from your grandchildren, your great great grandchildren, children that you're not even going to have passed on to another realm. But that's the healing that you're doing. So that's what we're here to do. And everybody who's watching this video, who gets to see this video and spends the time listening to it, hopefully there's a realization that actually that makes sense. That is what's happening, and that's the truth. That's the truth of what's happening, because there isn't any agenda and helping people to wake up other than to creating a better world. So talking of agendas, it's kind of that thing of, so what is the agenda? The agenda is to bring love and to bring harmony and to bring peace and to bring abundance, magnitude abundance for everybody. So making a really, a level playing field that people actually have a chance to fully live in this existence. That they're not just existing, they are living. And that's the key, I believe, to working together, is that we're freeing each other. That it's impossible to go back into our past, because if we did go back into our past, it'd be very dark and it would be very sad. But we can do something about that here and now. Years ago, we probably thought, gosh, it's going to just take too long. Anything. And absolutely, if we went the same route that we've been taught, it would take forever. But if we take the path of togetherness, what we're doing is we're only taking part of our path, by the way. The togetherness isn't like everything. I'm giving everything to story and playing games. It's just giving a part of ourselves. And when we do that, we're creating something that's never been created in our world. We've never had the opportunity to fully be together and work together, sharing our authentic selves, sharing our truth, speaking from our fullness of who we are. That takes practice, and many of us don't feel, and I've said this before, we don't feel like we've got a story to tell. We don't feel as if our story is that important. That's the ego mind assessing that at that level. Every single one of us unlocks the key to another person. So you don't know what your story is going to do for me until you tell it. And that's all that we're empowering people to do, is to tell their story. Because last night, so on a Friday evening, we tend to have our storytelling. And last night was no different. And the beautiful things is different people come online, so you get to trigger different parts of self. Because we are moving and we are fluid, it means that you can hear somebody's story over and over and over again, and it will just trigger different parts. And it's very challenging sometimes to listen to people's stories, because you're not wanting to, when you listen to somebody's story, you can dive straight in there and just think and be angry at what's happened to somebody. But that isn't the purpose of story. When people tell their story, they are triggering different aspects of ourselves that need to be addressed, be it healing, be it love, different experiences. It's really hard to explain. It's just being there offers you that gift of presence. So it's a really important process. If you can sit and hold space for another person to share their story, that's probably one of the most powerful things that you can do in our world. In our world, at a time when people are so busy, they don't have time to do, to do half of the things that they want to do. And that's because our minds have been programmed to be in this logical way of being, or doing, a logical way of doing. When you step into a world of being, which is in the heart, and you're just offering, and you're really, what you're doing is co-creating. You're creating your world, because there's an energy that we're talking about more now than ever before, which is fantastic, that just takes care of so many things if you allow it, if you allow to let go and to trust. And so that's the key, trust. Because trust is in our world. Many of us don't trust even ourselves. Many of us don't know ourselves to trust ourselves. What this process does, it helps to build the trust much quicker. And it genuinely brings authentic conversations. And that is just, it's just incredible. So when it comes to the agenda for me is empowering people to raise the fullness and for the truth of who they are. That's what my agenda is to be able to allow people to know that it's okay and that it is safe to be able to have truthful conversations. Because when you're able to have those truthful conversations, those conversations are just with yourself. They're not with anybody else. Even though you've got maybe a small handful of people that are witnessing your journey, that's just your conversation. Nobody can take away your story. Nobody can say, oh, that's not true. It's your story, it's your perspective. So to really empower somebody is to be able to help them, to give them their voice back. I invite you to come along and experience it, because as much as people might just observe and just think, oh, that's not for me, it is for you. It is for you. Each and every one of us are here to shine. And without each of us really delving in there and sharing the truth of who we are, then who are you? You still will be the person who's acting out all your experiences that are based on the external matter. They're not based on you internally. So this is a process of going within and finding your newness. And that's why I know things like mental health issues, mental health problems are a massive, massive concern in our world. There's so many different things that are major concerns. But the concern for me is, unless people really delve in and start sharing their story and living their truth, we're always going to have these issues. We're always going to have these problems. The majority of people, I believe, that have got mental health issues is because they're not able to speak their voice. They don't feel heard. They're not being who they are. I'm putting a blanket on there. My book is Life After Stress, Anxiety and Depression. I could have gone down the road of medication, but the doctor knew that medication wasn't an option for me. There wasn't any cure for mis or malpractice in a charity. There isn't a cure for that other than exposure and the truth. So what's happening is we're mimicking in our bodies issues that are taking place external, or issues that took place externally, and we've taken them on as our imprint in our body. Once we start untangling that, we start freeing ourselves from the labels, freeing ourselves from the symptoms. So we're getting to the roots of the problem in a different way. So without medication, without having a specialist professional, even though we do have professionals within our community, there's no need for all those labels. What we are is just, we're human beings, and spiritual beings having a human experience. And once we are able to accept that, then we're going to stop people from all those labels. Yes, there are places for labels, but at the same time, let's explore who you are, and let's make those labels. Claim your own label, not one that's been given to you externally because of symptoms that aren't being fully addressed. That's my conversation for today. I can feel myself kind of like, yeah, I've said what I need. So hopefully that's been just a natter about togetherness. Let's create a space where we can actually be together, where we can work together for the betterment of humanity. That's what this goal, my vision is to be able to help people to take my hand and let's go there. Let's go to wherever you need to go, building your confidence in you, boosting your self-esteem, boosting your self-worth, so that then you can live a more fuller life, that even if it's just within your own family, just to know yourself more, to be part of a community where there's lots of people that are saying the same things, and to recognize your root family, your root tribe of people who are out there on the leading edge, being very vulnerable, but finding strength in that vulnerability. I thank you so much for joining me this morning, and thank you so much for the love and the hearts. Absolutely always love it. I'm back on Sunday, tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. with the Quantum card reading of self-ascension cards, which are very innocent cards, but they're all very much about the heart. And then I'm back next Saturday for Soulfood Top Up. There might be a special. I might come on specially because I'm visiting a place that is really dear to my heart, and one that is going to be a powerful place for us for the future. So fingers crossed. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and much love to all of you. Bye bye for now.